Hello everyone, welcome to GS Booster Short, your daily dose for GS preparations. In our today's lecture, we are going to touch upon two important topics. One is the 16th East Asia Summit. This is extremely important from our international relations respect. And then there is India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. This is a new addition to India's strategic initiatives in the Indo-Pacific. And it is very important in order to understand holistically our strategy with respect to Indo-Pacific. So, let us start with East Asia Summit. So, East Asia Summit was established in the year 2005. So, it is a grouping of 18 regional leaders of Indo-Pacific region. And this grouping basically gives these leaders an opportunity to interact informally and clear the air over strategic issues in this very area and promotes political, security and economic resolution of any disputes in this very area, that is the Indo-Pacific region. This concept was first mooted by Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir bin Mohamad in the year 1991. So, there are basically 6 priority areas for regional cooperation in the Indo-Pacific that East Asia Summit identifies. What are these areas? First is environment and energy, education, finance, global health issues and pandemic diseases, natural disasters management and ASEAN connectivity, that is connecting ASEAN with regional powers and regional economic hubs. So, as we know, ASEAN are also known as Asian tigers. This very grouping, that is the ASEAN grouping, has actually developed and given as a successful example of regional groupings with that of EU, that is the European Union. So, who all are the members of EAS? So, first of all, this group comprises the 10 states who are members who comprises ASEAN. These are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. Many a times in prelims, generally it is asked as to who all are members of important organizations. So, this is one of the very important international organization, strategic grouping, and therefore we should know who all are members of these organizations. Then the 8 other countries who form along with ASEAN countries as members of East Asia Summit are Australia, China, Japan, India, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, Russia and USA. A very unique thing that you will notice over here is that these 8 countries, many of them do not see eye to eye with one another and also have tried to push others out of other regional groupings. However, they actually form part in and participate at leader level in this very summit. For example, USA and Russia. It is an ASEAN centered forum as it can only be chaired by an ASEAN member. So, the chair would also be an always be an ASEAN member and it is a rotating chair. This year, Brunei Darussalam is the chair of East Asia Summit as well as ASEAN. So, what all are the processes? Basically, EAS culminates in annual leaders summit which had taken place yesterday, which is usually held alongside ASEAN leaders meeting in the 4th quarter of every year. Besides this, there are meetings of EAS foreign ministers, economic ministers and other ministers also, and these are held on an annual basis. Now, let us see the relation of India with East Asia Summit. So, India happens to be one of the founding members of East Asia Summit, and at the East Asia Summit, just a second. So, and at the East Asia Summit in Bangkok in 2019, India launched its Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, which is aimed at forging partnerships to create secure and stable maritime domain. This year, Prime Minister has reaffirmed that ASEAN centrality in the Indo-Pacific and highlighted the synergies between ASEAN outlook on Indo-Pacific and India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. So ASEAN countries has also launched their vision with respect to Indo-Pacific, that is known as ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific. And then it is India's perspective as to how to forge relationships in order to maintain security in the maritime domain, that is Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. So Prime Minister has highlighted the convergences between both the visions and also termed that ASEAN centrality is the main aim and the main focus with respect to India's vision. So there's one more strategic reason as to point out that India's Indo-Pacific vision has ASEAN at its central. Which is why, and that is because basically China is using its might in order to break down the unity of ASEAN countries and exploiting their divergences. Because of this very grouping being so strong in their economic respect, it is not economical for any country to have conflict with them head on. Now, let us understand as to what is the geographic expanse of Indo-Pacific for India. Many a times it has been not very clear to us as to what does Indo-Pacific actually mean. Different countries are having their different definitions with respect to Indo-Pacific. Now, External Affairs Minister Shri S. J. Shankar has clarified with respect to India's vision of the geographic expanse of Indo-Pacific. Let us see what he says. So, India is increasing the area covered by its Indo-Pacific policy to include the Western Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea. So basically, India's Indo-Pacific views or includes the stretches from the eastern shore of Africa up till the South China Sea, and basically it would now be covering both the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean. So in this very manner, we have expanded the entire horizon with respect to our Indo-Pacific. A very important thing with respect to this, in Indo-Pacific, as we see, all the major powers are Pacific powers, whereas in this very western domain, it is India which has basically the dominance, and that is what we strive to maintain with ever increasing, because China is actually trying to have its influence increased up to Europe, and over here in the western region it would be a challenge for India as to stop China from getting a position of dominance in this western Indian Ocean region and the Arabian Sea. With India recognizing both geographical extremities of Indo-Pacific spectrum, it is time to give equal weightage and consideration to the two sets of distinctive policies, that is the Act East and the Act West, as part of Indo-Pacific strategy. Now it is time that we give equal importance to our western side also as much as we were giving to the eastern side. The entire Indo-Pacific policy till date was actually centered around our Act East policy. However, now that we have expanded the domain of Indo-Pacific, then we have to bring in equal measures with respect to Act West also. Now, the Western Indian Ocean region is sitting at the intersection of Asia, Africa and Europe. Let us have a holistic view as to what all are the important areas in this very region. So, for India, this region is part of its strategic maritime frontier, which extends from the Persian Gulf to the east coast of Africa and across the Malacca Strait. And Malacca Strait ke aage se we start with our ASEAN countries and all that very Pacific Ocean area. In the western part also, there are many strategic points such as the Gulf of Aden, Bala Mandeb, Mozambique Channel, Strait of Hormuz and the Cape of Good Hope. Running parallel to India's increasing outreach to African countries under PM Modi, the Navy's role as regional security partner, India has rightly identified Western Indian Ocean as a region of primary interest. So, with the ASEAN connecting the two great oceans. And at the heart of this conception lie the principle of inclusiveness, openness, ASEAN centrality, and unity. It is this way how India looks at the Indo-Pacific as a geographic and strategic expanse. That the ASEAN is actually connecting both the oceans, that is the Western Indian Ocean, Arabian Peninsula, and the Pacific Ocean. Now, let us learn about India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative and what is the vision behind this. So basically, it is a global initiative that draws on the existing regional cooperation architecture and mechanisms. The idea is that one or two countries could take the lead for a pillar and other interested countries could join in. With this, India has set the ball rolling with taking the center stage towards being a dominant power in the Indo-Pacific region. Like we have seen that there has been increased instance and pressure and influence of United States towards pushing India to take more challenging roles and to take a leadership position. And India is not shying away from this thing. So, India for its part today is ready to take lead in maritime security and disaster risk management and is open for other countries to come and forge partnerships with it. Now, let us see the pillars of India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative. So, there are about 7 pillars of this. These are important for us to identify because this very topic happens to be extremely important with respect to India's strategy, the Indo-Pacific construct as a whole. First is maritime security. So, maritime security में हमारे पास issues आ जाते हैं seaborne terrorism, piracy in the waters of Indian Ocean, Sulu Sea and South China Sea, climate change, natural and man-made disasters, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, and maritime disputes in flashpoints like South China Sea. So basically, strategic stability is very important, and in order to basically take the economic benefits, it is important that all these issues are basically accounted for. Then there is maritime ecology and maritime resources. Because of enhanced economic activity in this very region, the ecological stability has been shaken. And if this ecological stability is not maintained, then it would become difficult to harness the potential of oceans, the economic potential of oceans. So, overfishing leads to depleting ocean stocks, fish stocks in South China Sea, destroying habitat in the Coral Triangle that spans much of the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia and Brunei. To be sure, India and other countries have initiated programs to arrest these issues. So, Indian efforts are not just centered around gaining military dominance in this very region, but it is also based upon building a sustainable development model, and therefore this initiative of India is also in consonance with the sustainable development goals. The third pillar is capacity building and information sharing. Effective maritime enforcement capacity begins with strong maritime domain awareness. Therefore, India is basically fostering that the countries should partner together towards sharing their information with respect to the maritime domain. This would help in better governance of this entire this huge expanse of oceans. So, most countries must rely on multilateral information sharing. Then, with respect to maritime connectivity, this is very important in order to exploit the entire maritime benefits. So, if the slide is not visible to you, you may go ahead and see the PDF that I have attached with this very video. Let me give you some of the example of the initiatives that have been taken by India towards maritime security. maritime connectivity. First of all, India is developing the Sitwe port in Myanmar. Then Andaman Nicobar Islands and Akane province are trying to be connected. That is a province in Myanmar also. Then India and Indonesia have also been organizing infrastructure summit from 2017 onwards. There are projects going for port to port cooperation between India and Thailand. Then with respect to India is developing infrastructure in Mauritius, Assumption Islands in Seychelles. India and Japan are also cooperating under Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. So these are some of the initiatives that India has taken towards maritime connectivity. Then one of the chief important areas for consideration is with respect to disaster management. So disaster management, and basically disasters like cyclones and tsunamis not only wreak havoc on the shores but also have detrimental impact on maritime trade and connectivity. India has also launched the International Union for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. So it is aimed at creating prospective area for countries to collaborate on initiatives and in disaster management. So basically disaster management and cooperation in this very area has also assumed importance of late and has come up as a new area for cooperation between countries. India seeks to exploit this very area for its diplomatic advantages as well. Then lastly, we have the science, technology and academic cooperation, and with respect to maritime transport. So these are the 7 pillars of India's Indo-Pacific Oceans vision and initiative, and through this India is going to try and forge relationships with these countries. And having said that ASEAN centrality is with respect to India's Indo-Pacific vision, we have basically set the ball rolling for enhanced cooperation in this very region and forming partnerships in order to secure strategic interests in this very region and help these countries along with us towards basically curtailing China and putting a stop to its expansive policies. Should you have any doubt with respect to this very lecture, feel free to put your doubts in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to reply to them. Thank you and have a nice day.